Hello, this is Ogtv News reaching you from the Gateway State. First, the highlights. Federal government earmarks 100 billion naira for 2023 elections. As Nigeria marks World Teachers' Day, federal government reintroduces bursary in tertiary institutions. Over 180 million lines linked with national identification number. Ex-employee accuses Facebook site of harming children, weakening democracy. Justice is the constant and perpetual will to allot to every man his due.
On business news, the federal government approves zero import duty for vessels. This and more to come. I am Simiat Abaru.
And coming up on sport news, Kenya confirms bid for 2025 World Athletics Championships. This and more sports stories much later on the news. My name is Moses or Jewumi. Stay with us.
And now to the main news. The federal government has announced the reintroduction of the bursary in universities and colleges of education across the country, saying it would liaise with the 36 states' Ministry of Education, including the FCT Education Board, with a view to effecting it. The government explained that its collaboration with the states and the Federal Capital Territory was to identify the respective course of study required respectively by each state, saying an award of 150,000 naira had been proposed for undergraduates and 100,000 naira only to NCE students. Minister of Education, Malam Adamu, who said this in his keynote address delivered at the 2021 World Teachers' Day celebration in Abuja on Tuesday, said the reintroduction of the bursary was part of the resolutions of the National Implementation Committee constituted by the government following President Muhammadu Buhari's pronouncement in repositioning the nation's education sector and the teaching profession in particular during 2020 World Teachers' Day celebration. The federal government has approved the sum of 75,000 naira as a stipend per semester for students undergoing degree programs in education in public universities in Nigeria. Also, the Nigerian Certificate in Education students will get 50,000 naira as a stipend per semester as part of the deliberate effort of the government to attract the best brains into the teaching profession as promised by the President Muhammadu Buhari last year. Minister of Education, Adamu, announced this on Tuesday at the World Teachers' Day celebration held at the Eagle Square, Abuja. He said undergraduate students of BEd, Ed, BSc, Ed in public institutions and are to receive stipends of 75,000 naira per semester, while NCE students will get 50,000 naira as stipends per semester. The role of teachers in nation building cannot be overemphasized, hence the need for government at all levels to prioritize their needs for sanity to prevail in the society as the world commemorates this year's Teachers' Day, tagged Teachers at the Heart of Education Policy. Our reporter, Adebola Ushomuji, takes a look at the significance of the celebration. Her report.
Every year on October 5, the world celebrates Teachers' Day to highlight the responsibilities, rights, and the value of teachers. The day also honors teachers all around the world for their important role in their country's economic development by providing education that enhances people's quality of life.
Both the executive and even the Parliament, the National Assembly too, is that TRCN role is very critical. You need the teacher, quality teachers, to develop your country. Computers will not replace teachers, or technology will not replace teachers.
Those who spoke with Ogtv News submitted that Teachers' Day is worthy of celebration as governments need to wake up to their responsibilities in ensuring their well-being for sanity to thrive in the society.
Our teachers are trying their best. And to me, you can see that the Nigerian teacher is actually trying his best. Because with the little resources that has been provided, a lot of them are, what they're doing is to actually get their resources by themselves.
No doubt about it. Teachers want to be celebrated throughout the world because we are the machine that produces others. We are the one producing the future leaders of this nation. We are the one laying the solid foundation for a better tomorrow.
Teachers are human beings. They are Nigerians. They go to the same market as every other Nigerian, and they see what goes on in the society.
On the part of state government, efforts are still on to bring back teachers' lost glory in the past.
To tidy up education, the government has got a very, very big role to play. And how do we start? The people that are actually into this particular business at the center of it. I know the child is at the center, but who are the players there? They're the teachers. And we must find a way to promote them. We must find a way to encourage them. We must find a way to improve the morale of teachers. And if we're not doing that within the next few years, we might not be able to find teachers again.
They also justified the saying, teachers' reward are no more in heaven, but here on earth.
The heaven, the statement or the word used as heaven in that particular statement is actually meant for tomorrow. The reward of teacher is for tomorrow. And what is our tomorrow? Our children, our relatives. Teachers' children are doing better. Teachers' children are well-to-do in the community.
It is worthy of note that teachers shape future generation. Adebola Oshomuji, Ogtv News.
There has been a call for the streamlining of the nation's system of education to attract and sustain a well-trained, effective, and gender-balanced professionals for the continued development of Nigeria. Governor of Ogun State, Prince Dapo Abiodun, stated this during the celebration of the 2021 World Teachers' Day held at the Obas Complex, Okemoson, Abeokuta. Governor's Office correspondent Yusuf Ganil completes the story.
Teachers can be rightly called the nation's builder. It is on this premise that Ogun State teachers join their counterparts the world over to celebrate Teachers' Day, which is also an avenue to commend them for their services and contributions to the educational development of the students and the growth of the society at large. As a teacher-friendly administration, Governor Dapo Abiodun appreciated these professionals for their doggedness, saying that it behoves on them to continue to be mentors and role models to shape the future of the children towards the socio-economic growth of the society.
As one of the most celebrated days on the UNESCO calendar, it is important that the rationale behind this celebration is once more brought to the fore on the global stage. We must continue to strive to rebuild the foundations of happy, disciplined, and a prosperous society. In doing this, we must ensure that we provide an efficient and effective educational system that not only provides the products for the opportunities and challenges of the present day, but also equips them for a brighter future. The role of teachers in this can never be overemphasized.
While reiterating his commitment towards ensuring a sustainable educational standard in the state, Prince Abiodun assured the teachers that all their requests, including leave allowance and deductions, among others, will be looked into for proper action.
We commence the renovation of 5 special needs schools in the state, including provision of modern amenities. We've approved scholarships for outstanding students at tertiary institutions. We approved the establishment of the Ogun State Education Intervention Fund to achieve improved learning. I think one thing that's very important is that you should know that the commitment to the welfare of our teachers
is at its all-time high. If we had all the funds that we needed, you would not need to ask me for anything, because no one can better appreciate the role of teachers better than I do.
Among the 7 awardees, Mr. Kehinde Oladapo from Jakwara Northern Primary School, Ijebu-Igbo, was the overall best teacher for 2021 Governors Award, and he received 2 million naira and 2-bedroom bungalow as gifts.
To thank the Almighty God for the opportunity He gave unto me to be named the best teacher in Ogun State for 2021. And I equally want to thank His Excellency, Prince Dr. Abeokuta, for every good thing he has been doing in the education sector.
There were goodwill messages from the leadership of the Nigerian Union of Teachers and the Academic Staff Union of Secondary Schools, amongst others.
The fact is that improving education must go hand in hand with improving status, welfare and level of the teachers, because they are not only the instrument of education policy, they have the spirit and soul of education.
For us as the Academic Staff Union of Secondary Schools, ASUS Nigeria, it should not be tales of words, agonies and frustration, so that zeal, productivity and output will not be lowered.
The 2021 World Teachers' Day celebration had as its theme, Teachers at the Heart of Education Recovery. Yusuf Ganiyu, Ogtv News.
A high street, which on completion would link no fewer than 6 institutions is in progress in Abeokuta, the Ogun State capital. The project manager, Mark Seaman, says all safety precautions are being considered for the road. Fowora Adesonwo in this report enumerates the economic value of the high street, Kenta Housing Estate, Ilugu Shomorin Road, now under construction. His report.
This building is located at the Ogun State Housing Estate, Ajebo Road, Kenta, Abeokuta. Its owner is a 86-year-old Emmanuel Oladeyinde Babatunde, a retired teacher, civil servant, and a priest. Reverend Babatunde says his joy knows no bound at the execution of the ongoing road linking Kenta Housing Estate, Ilugu, and Shomorin.
The government is doing us much good, doing us good work for linking, because the road will link this place with Federal Medical Center, Ogtv, Ilugu village there, Obantoko, etc., etc. Yes, because in those days, there was nothing like that. We were completely secluded.
To Dr. Joseph Onobanjo, a technocrat and renowned educationist, it is now obvious that the estate could not have its cake and eat it.
Development of roads like the type that is going right in front of my house here, from Ajebo Road Housing Estate main gate to Shomorin end, is a big development in every aspect. See, people taking this route to Ogtv or to FMC or to Okemoson from Federal University of Agriculture, Shomorin end, from Federal College of Education, even to Ibadan. It's just an easy pass. And one will expect that by the time this very important road is completed, the traffic here will be, is likely, let me speak as a researcher, likely to be heavy.
The project manager, Mark Seaman, assures that the job will be executed in line with the best practices in road construction.
We almost reached 2.8 kilometers on both side drain. And we are on ongoing work, which means that between now till October, November, we reach far more than 4 kilometers on both side drains. And don't forget, every section we are working section by section, and where we are allowing some cross culvert, the water to flow from one side to another to maintain the water equal both sides.
The special advisor to the governor on works and infrastructure, Engineer Babatunde Adesina's position on the project tallies with that of the project manager.
We are not going to demolish houses. We may have cause to touch some fences, We are not going to demolish people's houses. The road is about 6 kilometers. It's going to burst out at Shomoni. It's going to join Abeokuta Ibadan road.
The safety facilities, the major one, is to make speed breakers from section to section, from one community to community, from one road interchange to another interchange.
He allays the fears on the project's completion.
The President Abeokuta administration is an administration that will start and complete a project. President Abeokuta MFR does not believe in unnecessary inconveniences for the people of the state.
The project, we no doubt, is the gridlock along Abeokuta, Obantoko, Elewiran, Ibadan Road. It is expected to be completed next year. Adefowora Adesanwo, Ogtv News.
Senate confirms appointment of 5 nominees into EFCC board. Details of these and other reports after this timeout. The current administration in Ogun State will not relent in its effort to totally eradicate sexual assault and ensure zero tolerance for sex-related abuses so as to have a crime-free society. The State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Olufunmilayo Ifwakwe, stated this while declaring open a 4-day capacity building for staff of Sexual Assault Referral Center aimed at training social workers, medical personnel, and representatives of security agencies on sexual assault. Margaret Okunlola reports.
Sexual assault is any type of sexual activity without the consent of the victim. About 40% of women who have been raped were assaulted before the age of 18. In a bid to fight this social menace and reduce it to the barest minimum in the state, the State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development, in collaboration with the United Nations Fund for Population Activities, UNFPA, organized a 4-day capacity building for staff of Sexual Assault Referral Center, while declaring open the training which had in attendance directors from the State Ministry of Women Affairs and Social Development and other dignitaries. The State Commissioner for Women Affairs and Social Development, Mrs. Olufunmilayo Ifwakwe, said sexual assault is a cankerworm that has eaten deep into the society, which needs collective efforts to eradicate.
I want to appreciate His Excellency Prince Dr. Abeokuta for his support, because he has supported us in bringing down the rates of the crime in Ogun State. And the ministry is not working alone. We're working with the Ministry of Health, Ministry of Justice, so that we can get justice for our people and get good medical services for them. And that's why UNFPA is partnering with us. They've helped us to open a SAC center, Sexual Assault Referral Center, inside Olabisi Olomba and Jotuchin University. So we are here for the capacity training of the staff that will work in that SAC center.
Goodwill messages were received from dignitaries present.
In recent times, there has been an increase in the issue of sexual assault. That is a known fact. Going by the data, going by every empirical evidence that is on that. OUTH now, with our Sexual Assault Referral Center, we have the opportunity to be a game changer in the state. We are going to be representing and fighting for people who are vulnerable, a lot of people who are poor, people who are voiceless, people who are oppressed, and people who constantly are abused. Your humaneness now is vital towards helping us as a state to begin to address this menace that has become a hydra-headed monster.
We continue to provide support not only to the state and to the SAC and ensure that all that the state needs to do to achieve all the sustainable development goals, including the SDG 5, which is gender equality, we will do that.
The training is targeted at social workers, medical practitioners, and representatives of security agencies. Margaret Okunlola, Ogtv News.
The approach to stem the incessant crisis between the Fulani herdsmen and farmers in Nigeria assumed a new dimension with the adoption of open grazing prohibition and establishment of ranches legislation in some states. Ogun State is not left out, as the governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, on Thursday, September 30th, 2021, signed the Anti-Open Grazing and Cattle Ranches Establishment Bill into law. Benga Adekoya in this report examines from human rights perspectives some pertinent provisions of the legislation and its implications.
I can give it to the southern governors for rising to the occasion by banning open grazing in the southern part of the country, to continue to affect my own properties because of your own gain. So banning open grazing is the best way to go, so that we can have enough food to eat.
What is good is that if you have a place where the cattle can be kept, and then they will just feed them there. But the idea of saying that they should be moving from one place to another, should be cancelled.
The recently signed Ogun State Anti-Open Grazing and Cattle Ranches Establishment Law by the Ogun State Governor, Prince Dapo Abiodun, will no doubt have positive impact not only on the relationship between the conflicting parties, but also in the protection of human rights of the indigenous and ethnic minority population.
That we enjoy in Ogun State, and why our state is adjudged as probably one of the most peaceful states in this country. So following up on that, we thought it wise and necessary to ensure that we protect everybody's business. Those that are in the business of farming, those that are in the business of selling cows to provide the required beef and protein ingredient in our diets. And that is why, to that extent, we've signed this bill into law.
Olusegun Oshinowa is a professor of animal physiology. He commended the Ogun State governor for signing the bill into law, saying anti-open grazing law is the only solution to the incessant herdsmen-farmers conflict in the southwestern part of Nigeria.
A positive development, and I congratulate the governor for taking this step. It shows we have a responsive government. Because since it's leading to the restriction of open grazing, I think the issue of destruction of farm crops by grazing cattle is eliminated if it's well implemented.
For Professor Oshinowo, the anti-open grazing law makes provision for livestock owners to apply for land for the ranches and follow a laid-down procedure to get the land, as their cattle can even grow fatter, quicker, and they would also be saved from the vagaries of the element and all the unpleasant consequences of pastoral nomadism.
Where government can really come in is encouraging young graduates who are well trained in this area, animal scientists, veterinarians, and others in that field, who just need to be empowered for them to come into the cattle value chain. The cattle value chain is deep, and it can be a positive economic development agenda for Ogun State.
Anyone who contravenes the provision of the law is expected to face sanctions, as stiff penalties have been made against cattle rustling in Ogun State.
The federal government says it is ready to extend a helping hand to South Sudan towards enhancing the country's political and economic stability. President Muhammadu Buhari gave the assurance while granting audience to the South Sudanese leader, President James Kev, in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. President Muhammadu Buhari said the full support of Nigeria will be given to all efforts towards bringing long-term stability and prosperity to the continent, as well as the development of South Sudan. He asked President James Kev to take Nigeria into confidence in its request for assistance, stressing the need for cooperation amongst development countries. The Nigerian leader said, with investments in education, improved economy, and healthcare, things will surely improve. On the situation in Guinea and Mali, President Buhari reiterated the need for African leaders to support efforts geared towards the return of democracy in the countries. President James Keb had earlier acknowledged Nigeria's leadership role in Africa, appreciating the country's efforts in the liberation struggle of South Sudan.
Back a memory lane and highlighted all the support that Nigeria has provided to South Sudan and continues to, and thank Mr. President very much for it. He gave a situation report of not just what's happening in South Sudan, but also in Sudan itself, and even the role that he is playing as a mediator now in Sudan. And together they agreed that there was a need to work together to address the security challenges in West Africa and in East and Central Africa. Another point he mentioned was also the role that the First Lady of Nigeria is playing in supporting orphans in South Sudan, and asked Mr. President to extend his thanks to the First Lady for that.
President Muhammadu Buhari has returned to Abuja from Ethiopia, where he attended the inauguration of Prime Minister Ahmed Abiy Ahmed for a second term in office. He was received on arrival at the Nnamdi Azikiwe International Airport by his Chief of Staff, Professor Ibrahim Gambari, FCT Minister Mohammed Musa Bello, Inspector General of Police Usman Alkali Baba, and the Director General Department of State Services Yusuf Magayi Bichi. Senate has confirmed the nomination of 5 persons for appointment as Secretary and members of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC. This followed the consideration of the report of Senate Committee on Anti-Corruption and Financial Crimes, which screened the nominees. The report, presented by Chairman of the committee, Sulaiman Abdukwari, observed that the committee members were satisfied with the nominees' qualifications, sustainability, and suitability. Meanwhile, President Muhammadu Buhari has written to Senate requesting the consideration of the 2022 to 2024 revised medium-term expenditure framework on fiscal strategy paper, which has increased the 2022 budget from 13.98 trillion naira to 16.45 trillion naira.
Ekongu, Secretary to the Commission. 2. Lukman Mohammed, Board Member. 3. Anumba Adeze, Board Member. 4. Alhaji Kola Rahim Adeshino, Board Member. And finally, Alhaji Yahya Muhammad, also as Board Member.
The PIA establishes a progressive fiscal framework aimed at encouraging investment in the Nigerian petroleum industry. This significantly alters the oil and gas fiscal terms and has necessitated changes in the 2022 to 2024 medium-term fiscal framework.
The letter explained that the revised medium-term expenditure framework is to reflect fiscal provisions of the Petroleum Industry Act and to provide additional plans for critical expenditure, such as the 2023 general elections, for national poverty redirection, placement of allowances, and public service wage adjustment. The President also sought Senate's confirmation of Justice Hussein Baba Yusuf as Chief Judge for the High Court of the Federal Capital Territory. Over 180 million lines have been linked with the National Identity Numbers NIN, the Executive Vice Chairman of the Nigerian Communications Commission, NCC, Professor Omar Dambata, disclosed on Tuesday. He said this following the capturing of over 60 million Nigerians by the National Identity Management Commission in the National Identity Numbers database. Dambata also said from available statistics, the telecommunications industry has bounced back with a broadband penetration peaking at 41%, while active telephone subscribers have increased by over 1 million. He spoke while delivering his address during the public inquiry on 3 regulatory instruments on the rule-making process of the headquarters of the Commission in Abuja. The Independent National Electoral Commission, INEC, has expressed fear over the upsurge in cases of attacks in Anambra State as the governorship election in the state draws closer. INEC has scheduled the election for 6th November. The Commission, against the backdrop of the recent attacks on the State Security Services, SSS, and Federal Road Safety Corps, FRSC, in Inewi, a town in the state, cast doubt on the safety of its personnel and assets ahead of the election. In his address at the emergency meeting with heads of security operatives in Abuja on Tuesday, the INEC chairman Mahmoud Yakubu said the growing rate of attacks in the state may affect the Commission's plan for the poll if not properly curbed by the concerned authorities. He said he suspected that the attacks may be attempts to stall or discourage the governorship election in the state. The Lagos-Ibadan rail line will employ 1,000 additional workers at a cost of 567.45 million naira per annum. The Managing Director, Nigerian Railway Corporation, NRC, Mr. Fidet Ohiria, disclosed this in Lagos when members of the National Assembly Joint Committee on Transportation visited the Butemeta headquarters of the NRC. He said the current personnel strength of the corporation was 10,672 with current personnel cost of 9.14 billion naira for 2021. He added that a total of 1,000 additional workers will be required for the operation of the new Lagos-Ibadan rail line with an additional wage bill of 567.5 million naira per annum. Okiria added that on corporation's revenue generation since 2020, NRC has remitted 1.13 billion naira to the federal government approved dedication TSA account domiciled with the CBN. The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, said it had probed pension frauds to the tune of 157 billion naira. The agency said urgent reform was needed to deliver an efficient, effective, and sustainable pension administration system in the country. The Director of Operations, EFCC, Abdulkarim Chokol, disclosed this at a 2-day sensitization program on the theme Eradication of Pension Fraud in Nigeria in Abuja on Tuesday. He vowed that the EFCC will bring those who embezzled pension funds to justice. Up next is business news with Simiat Abaru after this timeout.
On business news, the Director General, Nigeria Maritime Administration and Safety Agency, NIMASA, Dr. Bashiru Jamo, says the federal government has approved zero import duty for ship owners to acquire vessels. Jamo disclosed this in a session at the maiden edition of Nigerian International Maritime Summit held in Lagos with the theme Becoming a Significant Maritime Nation. He said that for the country to become a maritime nation, areas such as security and incentives, which are physical and monetary, to help the sector grow should be looked into. The oil prices crossed the $80 mark following the decision by the Organization of the Petroleum Exporting Countries, OPEC, confirming it would increase monthly overall production of oil by 400,000 barrels per day for the month of November. Brent crude traded at $81.49, while Nigeria's Bonny Light traded lower at $77.67 a barrel. At the OPEC and non-OPEC ministerial meeting, the countries reiterated the critical importance of adhering to full conformity and to the compensation mechanism, taking advantage of the extension of the compensation period until the end of December 2021. Rising prices have triggered renewed calls, most notably from the United States, for OPEC Plus to consider restoring production more quickly than planned. Specifically, Nigeria is expected to pump 1.649 million barrels a day by next month, a quota the country has been having difficulty in attaining due to prevailing local challenges until last month. Figures from the Nigerian Bureau of Statistics, NBS, reveal that the value of manufactured goods imported into the country exceeded its corresponding export by 4.37 trillion naira in the second quarter of 2021. According to the report, the total value of manufactured goods trade in second quarter 2021 stood at 4.51 trillion naira, representing 37.50% of total trade. The NBS report stated that out of this, the export component accounted for 211.67 billion naira, while the import component was valued at 4.3 trillion naira. Products that contributed to export component growth when manufactured products were vessels and other floating structures of breaking up exported to Cameroon, Spain, and Equatorial Guinea in values was 71.9 billion naira, 18.34 billion naira, and 6.62 billion naira, respectively. Anticipations of improved half-year earnings and accompanying dividend declarations have continued to spur bargain hunting on the equity sector of the Nigerian Exchange Limited as investors' wealth appreciated further by 14 billion naira at the reopening of trading for the month of October. Specifically, market capitalization of listed equities increased by 14 billion naira to 20.969 trillion naira from 20.955 trillion naira reported last week Thursday. Also, the all-share index, which measures the performance of listed equities, also appreciated by 21.80 basis points to 440,343 points from 40,221.17 points. Nigeria spent 1.47 trillion naira on debt service and repayment in the first half of 2021. Data obtained from the Debt Management Office have shown in the first quarter of the year, the country spent 1.02 trillion naira on both domestic and external debt servicing, while a total of 445.45 billion naira was spent in the second quarter of 2021. From January to March 2021, Nigeria spent 612.71 billion naira on domestic debt servicing, while it spent 410.33 billion naira on external debt servicing. From April to June 2021, Nigeria spent 322.7 billion naira on domestic servicing and 122.7 billion naira on external debt servicing. And finally, the past 9 months may be described as terrific to dealers and substandard and fake product across Nigeria. This is at the Standards Organization of Nigeria, SUN, revealed that it has arrested 10 manufacturers of fake product in Kano, Ibadan, and Lagos. The organization also revealed that substandard tires and other products worth hundreds of millions of naira have been confiscated within the same period. The Director General of the agency, Malam Farouk Salim, disclosed this at a recent media party in Abuja. Unfortunately, despite the effort of the regulatory agencies in the time past, standard products still find their way into the Nigerian market. In most cases, the effects are unimaginable because it comes with a lot of carnage, calamity, and sorrow, as most times property is lost, and most painfully human lives are also lost. According to a report, Nigeria loses about 15 trillion naira to fake goods annually. Also, the country is ranked among the world's highest market for fake and substandard goods. And that's it on Business Report tonight. Back to Iyabo Awujola for the rest of the night.